This week I want to talk about why we repeat these painful patterns, whether it be toxic relationships or the conversations that we have in our head, whether it's the beliefs that we hold about ourselves. And it's understanding and actually understanding where this comes from and having conversations with ourselves that will help us break free. Welcome to the MindFuckery Podcast, which is FeedSpot's fifth must-listen to podcast on emotional abuse. I'm your host, Elizabeth, and in here we explore areas others are feared to tread. Through my own personal journey, I know how much this hurts and how confusing life becomes. So many questions, no closure, and no real answers. I've been a woundologist for over 20 years. I'm the unintentional author of Finding Lily, the A to Z of emotional abuse and divorce matters. I help you clear past life wounds, ancestral trauma, and this life wounding. And as the founder of the Inner Healing Sanctuary, I've created Wound Talking, the original wound, and Quantum Glow. I'm on a mission to help educate as many people as I can on the effects of trauma on our lives and our children's lives, and healing the wounds of our mothers and our fathers. It stops here, it stops now, it stops with us. So welcome along for the journey of a lifetime. As ever, you are so very, very welcome. This week, I want to talk about these painful patterns, whether they are people, relationships, whether they're the conversations that we have with ourselves, the way we talk to ourselves. And I want to look at and understand why they keep repeating in our lives. I'm going to put a link to the course that I'm running in November. It's an online course. I'm going to be sharing with you techniques to break free from the emotional wounds that keep us trapped, repeating the same patterns that we do, these painful relationships, and finally learn to live the life that we were born to live. I will guide you through some really deep healing processes and help you understand and communicate with and heal your emotional wounds. So why do we keep repeating these painful patterns? And there's one relatively simple answer, and that's because they're familiar. Some of the conversations we have with ourselves aren't things that we believe about ourselves. They're things that we've been taught by other people. And it might be that you've got these wounds that run your life and take control of everything that's going on. And in certain situations, you might respond in the way that you did when the trauma first happened. It's always been my belief that when we experience some form of trauma, our psyche, part of ourselves, breaks away. And it does it in a way to preserve the essence of who we are. Only what we're never taught is how to reclaim that back, how to bring in that part of us after the trauma has finished back into our bodies. And this is why, again, my belief that a lot of the time we don't feel whole. And it's because of this, because of the traumatic event, if it happened at a young age. And a lot of this work that I do is going back and reclaiming the parts of ourselves that are missing, that got traumatized, and bringing them back in. The wounds that run our lives are usually from a younger version of ourselves that was hurt and traumatized. The way we react and speak to people is usually from one of those traumas. And much like a physical wound, these emotional wounds land in the body. They sit in the body and they wait like a verruca virus until they're triggered again. The way we speak to ourselves and the way we speak about ourselves, the way we perceive ourselves is what we've been conditioned to believe about ourselves. When a child is born, it's a blank slate. It actually, again, this is my belief, comes in with far more emotional intelligence and a higher vibration than the unit it's born into. And the family tribe that it's born into are the ones that tell it its beliefs, override what was going on, tell the child that, you know, we believe in this and you come from a line of accountants or doctors or teachers or bank managers. It's much like titles that are given to the aristocracy, the lords and ladies. That also happens in the tribes that we're born into. There's so many people that I've either known personally or have worked with or I've come in contact with where either they or their partner, because I remember talking to one woman and her husband used to volunteer at railway, so she did at weekends to support him. He always wanted to be a train driver, and to make his mother happy, he went into banking and was so unhappy in the career choice that he made. And then when he was able to and didn't have the financial commitments and the family commitments, and when he was ready to retire, he actually went in and he used to volunteer at a steam railway. I met somebody who, again, to make his mother happy, became a doctor. And actually all he wanted to do was be an archaeologist. We put whatever it is, the essence of us, on hold. We don't look at it. We don't acknowledge it. And then all the time this is happening, as we're growing up, particularly in the first 7 to 8 years of our life, we're being downloaded so much information from the family unit by the way that we're spoken to, the way that we're treated, the pecking order that there might be in that tribe. And then what can happen is you can take on the belief system that you are not worthy or the lowest in the pecking order, and you attract those relationships into your life, or you later go on to attract relationships into your life. But even, as a young child, you can still have that going on with friendship groups, and you might be trying to be empowered or assertive in certain ways in certain relationships, but there's an internal belief that you aren't that person, that you aren't good enough, that you're the bottom of the class, or you're just floating along in the middle somewhere. And it's the internal dialogue that I teach you how to communicate with and how to challenge, because to me that's the most important part. It's actually challenging and reframing, and it's life-changing. And when you can see, and it might be multiple times, so this is why I give you the tools, so that if something slightly different comes up again, because it shouldn't be the same one, you've got the tools to then challenge that and ask the questions, is that true? Do I believe this? And to actually listen and hear where that came from, because that's what I teach you how to do. I give you the space to learn, and I hold that space so that you can challenge some of these beliefs, heal these wounds, clear whatever it is. I look at it as like some sort of computer virus that's got in. That's what I see these relationships as. Somebody's got in, they've hacked in. It might be that the coding's slightly wrong. I'm not into like computer coding or anything. I know nothing about it, but only through the systems that I've used, that maybe something's gone wrong. It didn't quite work. Somebody's put a semicolon instead of a colon, and it's thrown everything out. And you can go back in and you can take out that semicolon and put in the colon so that that computer program runs more smoothly. You might find another mistake somewhere along the line. And this is why I give you the tools, because this is what I want to do. I want to help as many people. This is what I believe we've come for. I believe we end up in these relationships to clear and heal on a deeper level. And it might be that you're given labels as a child, as an adult, as a teenager. You're given a label, and it might be that you're a troublemaker, or that you're too talkative, or that you can't concentrate, and you take on these beliefs, and then you attract those situations, you attract those relationships that mirror the belief you have about yourself, because it's an energy match. And what I want you to learn is how to step into your power, how to claim back your power, because your power was given away. These situations that you've been in right the way from the moment you were born were disempowering. The people you were surrounded by disempowered you. The people in your tribe did that. Now, it might be that you have siblings that treated you in the same way that your parents treated you, because that's what they saw was being mirrored. If you were the scapegoat, it's more than likely that you were treated like that by every single person in the family, because you were given that label, and then you take on that role going through life. And this is about going back and reprogramming and challenging the beliefs about yourself. And this is such a powerful thing, and this is why I believe we are in the relationship relationships that we're in because of what we experienced, because the vibration is the same, because they feel familiar. And when you end up in a healthy relationship, it doesn't feel familiar and you start to feel icky and you want to run away because you're not used to being treated in a way where you're seen, heard, or where it's healthy. So I said I'm going to put the link to that course in the description. If you want to come and join me, please do. It's online, so no matter where you are in the world, you can take part. It's also going to be recorded. There's going to be a live Q&A as well. What I want more than anything is to help people not repeat these relationships, not have these beliefs about themselves because that's what they've been told. So we can go back and listen to the voices in your head. And if you listen and quieten your mind, you'll be able to hear who actually said it. And then my favourite part is challenging, and actually challenging whether this is true. And I teach you how to do that as well. Words are so powerful. I've spoken about this so many times. I've done a few podcasts on it, how they can change the way we feel about things. And I want to teach you that as well, listening to your body and working with your body and listening to how something makes you feel, or seeing how something makes you feel, and listening to your gut and where you're holding this trauma, seeing if you can release it. So why do we repeat these painful patterns, get stuck in these relationships, these toxic relationships, friendships? Why do we have this negative self-talk? It's what we've been told and we've taken on. As children, up until the age of 7 or 8 years old, we live in a theta state. This theta state is hypnotic. So we take on these beliefs as the truth. We don't have the ability to question. And this is what I want to do. I want to give you the tools to question, to be able to release and free you from the chains that are holding you, to help you raise your vibration, to listen to your gut. I want to give you the tools. I want to show you how to do this so that you can do this with every situation. You can challenge every situation and ask, is this true? Is this belief that I hold about myself, this negative belief, is it true? Where does it come from? And I want to teach you how to do that as well. When you come out of these relationships, or you've been out for a while, you can still get triggered. You can still hold these beliefs. These are ingrained. They could be decades old. And by learning a few very simple, but very deep and powerful techniques, you can start to recreate and live the life that you're born to live. And that is my belief. Some of the very, very simple tools that I discovered were so helpful in my recovery were grounding. Finding is something that I've been doing for a very long time. I had some really fantastic techniques for grounding through some of the body work that I'd done and meditation work that I do, and I was able to incorporate those literally into every part of my day, every hour if I needed it. And I was also lucky that I'd learned lots of different breathing techniques, again with the therapies that I'd trained in over the last couple of decades. One of the things that was like the turning point, it was pivotal, was having these honest conversations. And I was able to lean into my inner child. Again, I've done a lot of work around that. And I was able to communicate with her and find out what was really going on and what I really needed. That was the turning point for me. These are things that you can do today. Grounding, breathing, honest conversations I can teach you. As I said, I'm going to put the link in the description for the workshop. I'd love for you to join me. Please sign up. I hope this has been useful, and as ever, sending you loads and loads of love until next time.